Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Dude's Pets to Talk book review. It's book club time again. I know after was it 2 years between,
Yeah,
but
It's been a long time.
and we've done
yeah.
what we've managed to actually sort of squeeze one in like a couple of months now. Was it when did we do Live Let Die? Wasn't that long ago? Was it? It
Live and Let Die was pretty
was this
recent.
year?
Yeah,
Was
fairly
this year?
recent-ish.
Was this year? Wasn't it?
I need to look.
We
I've got
can't
it.
even
I've got
remember,
it now.
folks.
Nah, it's all right. It wasn't very long ago at all. I'm just actually looking my channel. Let's have a look. We recorded it on. Let's have a look. 3 months ago. So it was it was just after Christmas or just after New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so we're doing all right. We're doing all
And
right
then
with it.
Casino
Yeah.
Royale was probably about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
So we're getting better.
We're getting there,
Yeah,
folks.
we are.
Yeah, we'll be back up to like our younger days in about, at this rate, within 3 or 4 years, we'll be recording regularly.
To be
Um,
fair, we've kind
Casi-
of we've run the gamut of
yeah.
Bond films so far, so that we'll turn our attention to the
Casino
main ones.
Royale was just over 2 years ago. Yeah.
But
yeah,
we've
So,
got time. We can do them in between, series that are
yeah.
running for a long time, or if you want to take a
Yeah.
break, or
And we'll get to Octopussy and the Living Daylights on the 200th anniversary of Fleming's. But yeah.
we can challenge ourselves, try and get there before. But not
Yeah.
holding out any promises.
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
S-
yeah.
So,
Who knows for the new one, new film, maybe. See.
well, maybe. Which he's just started secondary school, the next Bond, so let's see.
Yes, so it hasn't been born yet. But I
Yeah.
mean, at least we have right. We've got a producer, we've got the writer, we've got the director. That's kind of in place for now.
Yeah.
Um, so which is
Yeah.
something I think.
I always say for now as well, because I mean, how long was Guillermo del Toro attached to The Hobbit?
Oh yeah, that's
It
true.
was
Yeah.
it was so long and it didn't happen. I think this will happen. I think it's something he's always wanted to do. Amazon are still relatively new to all this, and I
Mhm.
think they'll trust him as
It
much as they can. But it
it
does go
yeah.
wrong. It went wrong with the last film. It was meant to be Danny Boyle, and it wasn't.
I mean, it is important to remember, like Amazon was it only from last year of
That's
like
true. Yeah.
I
and
think
the
it was
book.
early last year, wasn't it?
And
Yeah,
they have got a director and writer, and the ball rolling. The director is going to be his next film. It's not like, oh, I've got loads of films lined up, and he's just filling off a big project with Doom 3.
yeah,
So um, I'm so assuming. I mean, you would think they would start filming later this year,
you'd hope so.
assuming.
In
Uh,
theory.
but but the longest wait is again you've got up late at the feet the Broccolis. I'm sorry, I mean
Well,
if it was I mean if it was Amazon all the way through they would have like already started after No Time to Die, so we'd only be talking what maybe three
well, I
years
mean, it was
tops.
3.5 years after No Time to Die was released that they finally relinquished a hold on it, having pretty much said, "Well, we're reinventing it, and it takes time." I don't think they knew what they were doing by that point. Doesn't mean they never knew what they were doing, but they
But
didn't
that's
by then.
after a year and a half of the film actually being completed, so it's not like they were like still in the midst of making the thing. It was just like, oh well,
Yeah, I mean, they finished it. I remember there was a picture of Fukunaga and Daniel Craig on the set of that Cuban, supposed to be Cuba set, with the sort of clapperboard, and it was like, see you next year or whenever it was due to be released. And that was July or August 19.
mm,
So, if you think about it now, I mean, Daniel Craig has not done anything bomb related outside of press for 7 years, which is just, yeah. And, and there was a delay for Spectre as well. So we've had one Bond film in 11 years.
mm,
Um, so I always walked a fine line with the Broccolis, and I'm sure I've got it wrong at times because I think they did a fabulous job overall. But there was a long period of time where their hit rate was getting less. How what's the word I'm looking for? Prolific they were was getting a lot less. and they got obsessed with the same threads all the time, arguing Bond's relevance. And I
Mm.
really hope they don't do that this time. If they go for a young Bond, I doubt they will. But they lent on this, we're in the modern world now and what's hot right now. And I just think they'd had their time. And it's
That's
very,
that's always going to be a common question, though, isn't it? Like every time there's a reboot or a new era, a new decade, or whatever, how is Bond relevant? How is Bond going to fit in? It's a perennial
I'm not
question.
sure I agree. I mean, I know the world changes, but like you don't get a point during like on Her Majesty's Secret Service where someone says, is it right you should be shagging all these women?
Yeah, but
It,
it's more a case of not as he relevant, but how does he fit in to the modern landscape, considering what he's traditionally stood for and what he traditionally represents. But I would say Bond is always relevant. You
yeah,
know,
but that implicitly changes in the material, doesn't
yeah,
it?
of course,
I mean, during at the height of the AIDS crisis,
he was a
co-
one woman
uh,
man ish.
yeah, Dalton's Bond did a lot less of that.
Yes,
There was things change over time. Bond does not slap women now. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to have a big navel-gazing plot about it, do you?
No, yeah,
You know?
that's that. Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't need to actually be said. Do you know what I mean? It's just like you just
Yeah,
carry on. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day or last week or something, and it's you always have these kind of old time. I was thinking like, well, like Dirty Harry or these old like kind of these old like sort of like Harmon who are not really sort of keeping up with the times. It's like it's not a case of like, oh, looking at how they're relevant and fit into the world. It's just like this is the character. He is
yeah,
based on like an older. He's like he's like an old school guy.
mm,
That's it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
You just
And
work
we
with. He
can tone
doesn't.
down elements.
Yeah.
You can tone down elements. I mean, but you think about. I mean, I think it was Roger Moore's last film. He was like in his late 50s, sleeping with more women in the film than like anyone ever had,
Mm.
unless you count sort of what was implicit with Lazenby that he probably had most of the Angels of Death.
yeah.
But
I think
I
probably
just
films
think,
like Goldfinger and Majesties are probably like he gets through like the most number of women,
but
like
you
according to one
tone
film.
bits down. What is he? He's a patriotic lone wolf with obviously in the incarnation on screen, the quips are expected, but also there's a little bit of a lack of genuine emotion, if you like, in him. And that's it. You take it from there. It
Yeah,
doesn't need
there's
to be,
elements you can play up and you can play down. So
yeah,
Well, it's just like it's regardless of where we are in the world and society, he's always going to be that like that just wrecking ball that you just send in. It's like that the guy who will just go in and do the job regardless.
yeah, he'll
But
go in and
like
be that blunt instrument.
do,
Every now and then a trigger has to be
you
pulled.
yeah,
think Craig starts in the role and he does unadjusted, obviously, just box office, just absolute straight number of dollars or whatever. It was at the time the most successful Bond film ever made. Not pound for pound, but 600 and whatever it was, 90 million or whatever it was, or 590, something in that range. And then Quantum of Solace, which we know was a disaster of a shoot and didn't come out to amazing notices, only did a tiny bit less. It's a bit like Tomorrow Never Dies did slightly less than Goldeneye, but it had to open against Titanic. It was that sort of thing. Um, And then Skyfall comes out, desperate, and I quite like Skyfall, but desperately tried to argue his relevance. And I'm like, if that's the start point for your script, that's very defensive for a series that's in the best health it's been for quite a long time.
mm. I mean,
I
yeah,
can't, I don't know. I just think like, it'd be like after The Dark Knight making a film where he's almost apologizing for being Batman, which I suppose in some respects he
it
sort of
was,
did,
but
but
that,
you know what I
yeah, I
mean.
mean,
But you know what I mean. That was more about the stage of life he was at, but you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I so yeah, I don't know about the film. I mean, while we're on the subject, lots of rumors. It's funny because we're recording this about 3 weeks before the 007 First Light game comes out.
Yes, coming
And I and
soon.
I and I believe Bond in that is going to be 26 years of age. This could age really badly if our assumptions are in any way wrong. But it is kind of an origin story. It's got about, the death of his parents and the mission that gets them to recruit him and everything else. And there are rumours Amazon are looking for an under 30. So we'll see.
Just cast Patrick Gibson anyway, because he's 30, 31. He's quite young.
I don't know much about him, if I'm honest.
Is that the chap who's doing the
Yeah,
Half-Life?
the
Yeah, so
voice and the
he
mocap
was
and all
in
that, yeah.
I call it Young Dexter, so like the Dexter prequel series. And I didn't realize he was English. Like he did
Yeah.
it. His American accent was quite convincing.
They have
But
played
yeah,
with his
he was in the
visage for
Dexter
the
prequel
game, though, because
series.
there's a similar shape of mouth and nose, but I'm looking at a picture of him here, and that's not a James Bond. I don't think.
Yeah, I from what I've seen in the game, like looks of the game, he doesn't look like a Bond to me. I mean, that's not
No, but he
the
doesn't.
performance,
He doesn't
but
really look like he does in the game. Is I think my point.
yeah, no, but even I was saying even in the game, he doesn't quite have that Bond look to me. But um, but that's whatever. That's
I've just shared a picture of him
yeah,
with you. He was 24 when this picture was taken, so things change. But I can't see that myself. Um, but we'll see. But I think, yeah, they're definitely going to skew younger. It depends how much younger. Lazenby was 29 at the time of shooting, but 29 then and 29 that now are a bit different. I'd have rather gone a touch older, but again, the detail isn't what they do with it, isn't it? They might
mm,
release something we don't think we want, and then it works incredibly well, and then you've got potentially 15 years with that person if they're good enough, and you can see an entire career almost.
yeah. I mean, it's the proof is always in the pudding.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so uh, I guess we'll just have to just wait and see. It also depends on the type of film they make as well. I mean, it's like how's this Bond going to be? You know, like different actors not going to suit um different styles, is it? I mean,
No, I did read the other day Stephen Knight has like trashed about 5 or 6 months of worth of drafts. He's had like a complete rethink. So I think he's sort of back at stage one. That can either be a good
Yeah.
thing or a bad thing. If he was going down the wrong road, who knows? But I just know that they've I don't think you'll ever kill Bond. I don't mean figuratively or literally, if you like, as in the film, but I mean I don't think you'll ever completely kill the character, but there's a danger they've lost a generation of fans now. I mean, what have they done? They've done three films. If you count, well, if you say after Skyfall, it's two films in 14
mm.
years.
But
Um, it depends when you set your clock on those sorts of things. But even then, Craig Casino Royale's 20 years old this year, and he did 5 films. So
That's
that's
scary, isn't
averaging.
it?
It's not good enough. It's not enough. You know.
yeah, but then I was listening to I think it was it Spy Cars podcast, and they were talking about GoldenEye specifically.
Yeah.
And it was one of the. I mean, now I never played the GoldenEye game, but they mentioned Gold the game itself, not the film, but the
I
game
played the
itself
remake. I played the
was
remake,
with
which they had
With
like
Craig.
Daniel Craig's visage in. Yeah.
Um, but that game itself actually sort of introduced like a younger generation to Bond. Like that's how that was probably a lot of people's intro into Bond.
But that's why they need a multimedia
Mm,
presence, isn't it?
mm,
That was one of my complaints. You can't stick a film out every 4 or 5 years or even 6 years with a man who's slowly aging out of what young people want to watch anyway. And then as the series itself is aging, because as the years go by, each generation is going to find like Goldfinger a little bit more detached from what they'd want. I watched it when it was like 20 years old. Somebody watching it now, it's over 60 years old. In 20 years' time, are youngsters going to pick up on like an 80-year-old film? I don't
mm.
know. Possibly to some degree because they've been well restored, but you need to be keeping the character in people's minds. And I think video games is a great way to do it. And the one thing I advocated for, I've sort of half got, in that I remember saying to you guys, they should, instead of just putting Bond's visage, the current Bond's visage on a game, which has worked in the past with things like Everything or Nothing. But instead of doing that, have a completely separate continuity. Now, that could have been period, although again, you're aiming at a younger audience, so maybe not, but have a completely different continuity because they had these variable games with Craig, and after about the first one or two, they lost his voice as well. Had to get someone who sounded nothing like him. And I just think it always feels a bit too much like what it is, almost like
It might have
it
been
isn't
due
a,
to like licensing. Perhaps they couldn't use his likeness or they couldn't use his voice.
it's just video game film tie-ins never work that well, or often
No,
don't
but
work
it
that
could have
well.
been like,
It
yeah,
needs
but
to
for
be
some
its own
reason there
thing.
was kind of they couldn't use the license. I think that's
Yeah.
what happened there.
Yeah. And of course, the last video game was not only absolutely dreadful, but even the cover art, we could knock something up between us in 10 minutes that would be better. It just got very, very lazy. This is Amazon Studios now. I don't know if they're a publisher or a developer. I don't know. Oh no, it's IO Interactive, isn't it? It's the same team that made the Hitman games.
So they're quite up, and I think to be fair, the reviews that we've seen so far, it's been previewed by the likes of Calvin Dyson, David Zaritsky, IGN,
Yeah,
those sort of people.
yeah.
And obviously it's a
And
blend
a
of
few other video game
and a few
gamers
other
I follow,
a few
like
other gamers
Nuke
too.
Stevens and a few others, yeah.
But personally, I only trust Calvin because he's the man. um, but I mean, Zaritsky's good as well. But in terms of UK gamers, Calvin, he really knows his stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah, obviously it's a blend of the Hitman, obviously because it's from the same studio, but like Uncharted and those kind of games as well. So it's shaping up
mm,
really, really well. Um,
yeah.
just to plug Calvin's videos further before we get on to the main review. He's doing a really good series at the minute, like going through all the Bond games, sort of reviewing them, telling about the history, that sort of thing. So, listeners, if you're interested in the games, the Bond games, go and check out Calvin Dyson's channel.
I'd love his history of 007 Legends. That'll be a 10-second video. Well, this was knocked out in 5 minutes. Good night, folks. Yeah. Um, I mean, I played Bloodstone. That wasn't bad. The only difficulty you got with Bond is Bloodstone was too much. It was third person, which is fine. It had some decent levels in it. It had a decent story. Had a little bit of like hints at womanizing and stuff in it. Everything you'd sort of want in feel and a song. But of course, there are levels in that game where you are doing nothing but shooting hundreds and hundreds of people. And that kind of doesn't work. And I think the game has gone down the path of a bit of, yeah, they've brought in this license to kill idea in it that he's not licensed to kill at this point unless he's shot at. So like once they start shooting at you, you can shoot back. But before that, you've got to like use stealth and charm and things like that. A Bond game where you just do nothing but shoot people doesn't work for me, and it didn't work in GoldenEye either. For me, even though the game is venerated. So yeah, let's just see what we get. It's 3 or 4 weeks away. I think they've gone a little young with Bond, but there are things I like about it. They have lent on the backstory of Bond that we do know. He's even got the scar on the face. So let's see.
It could be that actually that the computer this computer game is probably going to be more important than the actual film itself when it comes out in terms of like in terms of like preserving
We're at the
Bond as
point
a
we got to do something, and gamers know their studios as well. And if it's the Hitman studio, everyone knows what Bond is. Can you bring it back and show it to be like viable without navel gazing the whole time? Because you're not going to have a 26-year-old just brought into the section. I still hate they call it the program, but he's brought into the section. You're not going to have him navel gazing about his relevance at age 26. So hopefully this will be the fresh start it needs. Some of the vehicles in it are clearly based on some of the classics, but I didn't see a DB5, which is great news. Um, and they've done the sort of thing of like, I know everyone hates like, race and gender swaps and all that sort of thing, but actually it sort of works in the game. It sort of works from what I've seen with the double O section, in that like it is reflecting like modern London, but still feels classic. The office does look like M's office and things like that. So I'm looking forward to it when I get to it. I may not buy it day one, but I will get it.
mm,
So
you know.
we are going to be done under the Trades Description Act in a minute because everyone's tuned in based on the title of this show.
Well, I don't think I think most podcasts like a bit of banter as an
Yeah,
intro,
and they
don't they?
actually, if you're listening to this, you quite like Bond chat as well, so that's fine. And we
Yeah.
haven't talked about where we are with it at the moment. To give it the general quick time capsule, we're recording this in May of 26, where Stephen Knight is writing, he of Peaky Blinders and so on, is writing the script. He has sort of apparently more or less started again. It is rumored Amazon are looking at under 30s, but then that also contradicts some of the, leaked shortlists where some of them are over 30, so you don't know what to believe there. And obviously, Denis Villeneuve is just finishing off sort of post-production on June Destiny or June,
Mm.
whatever it's called, June 3 anyway. Um,
Messiah.
Messiah, where did I get Destiny from? Don't know. Anyway, Dune Messiah, yeah, and then he will move over to it. But I mean, they've got to cast and start filming. So Craig wasn't announced till an October for a film that came out the following year. So I'd still expect the film next year, but we shall see.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bond was born in a different format from video games and films. That's why we're here today.
No, he was in a thing called Books.
Yeah, and that's how you
Legend
bring
has
in
it.
the young. That's how you bring in the youngsters.
To the library.
Along with parrots, of course, they bring in the youngsters. Oh dear, referencing 11-year-old jokes. Yeah.
So yeah, so we're talking about Ian Fleming's third Bond film, Bond book novel, Moonraker. And no, sadly, this does not feature a space rocket, and Bond does not go to space. Sadly, um,
And he doesn't parachute whilst burying his face in some bloke's ass on the way down, like he did in the film. Yeah.
no, that sadly is in yeah, books don't really have any pre-title sequences, do they? It's a shame.
Well, no,
Um,
because that would mean like you'd have the prologue, and then between that and chapter one, you just have the notes of a song written on the page. It would just go da 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 da.
yeah, you just got Ian Fleming just looks like everyone make a circle with a hand.
Yeah, and then you just get like a quick drawing of a woman just about covering her boobs, and then
Bomb
chapter
walks
one.
across, bang, blood trickles down,
Yeah, then you
and
get a
then
page that's just
yeah,
red. Yeah,
yeah. Uh, so yeah. So what's everyone's first? So I'll just go through. I'll do what I know I did last time around. What's everyone's first? When did everyone read this book first?
it's difficult to remember exactly. I'll go first just because I've read it less often. I would imagine than Becca, because today was my second. I it's since the advent of Audible and Kindles, which means it's in the lifetime of this podcast, I think, probably 2 to 3 years in. So I'm guessing I read it 8 or 9 years ago. Might be a bit after that because I had the audiobook as well. But then I think what's happened is I read it and then later got the audiobook and maybe listened to bits of it. Yeah, so I've read it once. I remember, yeah, it's in the lifetime of this podcast, but it could be 5 years ago, it could be 8 years ago, somewhere in that region. I went through all of them. Now, Casino Royale, that would have been my third or fourth read. From Russia with Love, probably my second, and so on. But some of them, it was my first. And Moonraker it was my first because I bought a few of the ones that where I either liked the film and wanted to see what the book was like. So I prioritized favorite films alongside where it coexisted with a good reputation for the book. So, for example, this novel has a very good reputation. The film less so. So it wasn't as much a priority. But I got it in the sort of second wave, if you like, because it's well thought of. A lot of people talk about Moonraker as one of the favorite novels. I liked it. I will go into first thoughts later. It was a bit more disjointed this time than I remember. Um, but I like it. I like it a lot. Becca?
I thought you were going to do a Paul Daniels there. I liked it, not a lot, but I liked it.
Yeah,
Randomly, nothing to do with Bond.
yeah.
Um, Yes,
You're also another thing to bring in the youngsters, Paul Daniels references.
that's a very 80s, 90s reference. Oh dear, showing myself up as an elder millennial.
Yeah.
Excuse me, cup of tea there. Yeah, I don't
Drinking
know.
tea as well. My
Drinking
God,
a cup of
cool.
tea.
Just to prove that we're British. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is it. I'm
Yeah.
full of cold at the moment, unfortunately. So I've got a one of those herbal teas that has got like vitamin C and echinacea and everything in it. So I'm trying to kind of do the holistic wellness approach. So if I sound huskier than normal, then that's why.
Everyone wish Becca a speedy recovery.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Unless you're finding her voice sexier, in which case we hope it's a bit.
Hello. I don't want to split down the phone at you guys. Sorry. Yeah. So I try to like get through all the Flemings at least kind of once a year. Try to read them as often as I can, but sometimes I fail. But yes, I have read this one before, but admittedly I haven't read it for a while. So it's good to revisit it, especially for this as well. Obviously, there's a new version published in the last few years, which had some sort of like edits made to it, sort of spelling typo errors, removal of N words, things like that. But
I don't remember any N words in it.
No, not in this one, but I'm just talking like in general, for example.
Oh, in his books in general,
in general, they're passed through sensitivity readers, things like that. And contrary to popular opinion, I think we talked about this before. Like there wasn't that much, so many changes made. But anyway, yeah, I've got the edition I read was a Penguin edition that was given away with the Times years ago to support the release of Sebastian Faulk's Devil May Care back in 2008. I've got fond memories of reading that on holiday, so that was really good fun. Yeah, I quite like it. For me, I think it's probably one of his best. I mean, third book in, and he's kind of, obviously hit his stride. It didn't do before, obviously, because the first two books were huge successes. And this one, I think, for me, it's a shame. Well, obviously, go back and listen to our review of Moonraker the movie. Obviously, it's one of those Marmite bonds that kind of defines opinion. Some love it because of its silliness, and others hate it because of its silliness and that sort of thing. And for many, like for these people, those naysayers,
does anyone like it for its seriousness?
No, for its silliness. Sorry, apologies. Yeah, not for its. It's not a
serious. No.
Film.
But no, that's the thing. Does anyone actually like it for its seriousness? That's my question.
No, that's true. Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Is there someone out there who thinks like, no, this is like Moonraker's like the sort of dark and gritty?
It's a proper sci-fi. Science fact. It's a science fact.
Well, so when he's in Brazil, it's like some of those plants might be poisonous.
when he has that,
this is too gritty for me.
When he has that fight with the python, it's obviously life or death.
Or in like Venice with not Helen Slater, he's like, that glass might cut him.
Not Helen Slater. Or double taking pigeon is too serious. Not light-hearted enough.
How did the pigeon not understand it the first time? They're confusing him.
Dear, oh dear. But yeah, it's a shame that the novel of Moonraker has never been turned into a movie. It'd make a great film, I think. Obviously, the setting is different. The villain is different. Obviously, keep the name, that sort of thing. Plots are slightly different as well. But yeah, I think it would make it rattles on at a terrific pace. I think it would make a really ripping film. And like perhaps if they were going to start remaking the books, for example, I think this would be a good place to start, definitely. Yeah, for me personally, it is one of my favourites. It ranks quite highly up there. Probably that. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Casino Royale anyway. That's up there. Majesty's is up there. The End of Twice, I think, is probably one of my favourites as well. And this one,
From Russia with Love's a great book.
From Russia, but yeah, definitely. I mean, much of them rank highly, but yeah, for me, I think Moonraker is probably one of my favourites. A few years ago now, probably maybe like 10 years ago, I want to say. I was lucky to go on a JBR trip to Kent, so we visited a lot of like Fleming inspired locations, and we got to go to St Margaret's Bay and saw where Fleming's house that he rented on the coast. It was next door to Noel Coward, a place owned by Noel Coward. I think both in our holiday lets.
God, there must have been a national shortage of. There must have been a real shortage of smoking jackets in Kent.
Yes,
in that
there
era.
really was. Yes, because they owned them all. But yeah, it was amazing. They sort of lived next to each other, door to each other on St Margaret's Bay, and then obviously the same situation in Golden Mist. That was very lovely on Jamaica there. Yeah, so lucky to go to some of those locations. I've got a pebble somewhere from St Margaret's Bay, so that's really cute. Um, but yeah, it's one of my favourites. I think Jax is probably one of the most interesting villains, and but I think for me, he's probably like one of the most archetypal Fleming villains. He's kind of got that English name, claims to speak English, but actually he's not. And there's a lot of kind of like post-war sort of tension as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's sort of mid 50s, I think this was published 55, 54, 55,
55,
56.
yeah.
So obviously you've got Second World War 10 years behind. So it's kind of like in your rear view mirror, but actually not that far behind.
Not that far at all.
So you kind of got a bit of tension there as well, which I think is interesting. Um, yeah, I enjoyed reading this one. So yeah, sorry, I rambled on quite a long time.
When you said not English but pretends to be English, it just makes me think of Blackadder Goes Forth. You know, 9, I am from Glasgow.
well, you know what I mean. He
Yeah.
claims to be British, but actually he's got this
We
kind of
think if you think
German
at this
backstory.
point, he's not. I mean, the film version is totally different anyway. But you think at this point, we haven't had Blofeld, we haven't had
No,
Goldfinger. Here we have a sort of somebody pretending to be someone he's not, with huge disfigurations on his face,
and
and
he
so
cheats
on.
at cards.
And he cheats at cards.
He's a cheat. I don't know which is worse. I think in terms of like Bond
What
villainy, I
wanting to
think
blow up London or cheating at cards? Yeah, no, it's a bit.
yeah. Where'd you start? Where'd you start?
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, no, yeah, I enjoyed this one. For me, it ranks quite highly. Um, and yeah, I think it would make a great film.
The problem is Chris complained about the last two films being so London centric,
Oh,
and they don't leave the UK in this film at all.
no, so Chris, maybe you want to skip this one.
No, well, to be fair, I don't mind. I mean, things though, if this was, if you were to film this like verbatim, it would be a relatively short. I reckon it would be like 1 hour.
It would be a
I
short
think,
film.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was already
So
short
It
as
gets
it
some nice,
was.
so
it gets
We'll
some
so
get
it'll
nice,
into
be
that.
nice views of the Kent countryside. There, I mean,
it,
it is pretty. It is really pretty down there.
it would
Yeah.
probably be like a really good single or two-part episode, like
Yeah.
of
Well,
a
there's a
TV
point I'll
show.
make about the pacing of it in a minute. I just thinking of when you said about the Kent countryside, I remember watching News at 10 with Trevor McDonald one day, and I've never seen his eyes go that wide when he accidentally said countryside, and just moved on as smoothly as he could.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
That's
His
a
eyes
bleeper and a
just
half.
widened. Yeah, no. But there you go. Um, yeah, one thing I read about this book today, and I looked for it today because we'd got fairly deep into the book. I couldn't give you a page number or a percentage, but if I had to guess, I think it might have been close to 40% of it. Um, and we haven't even really started the main mission yet. We've just had this sort of cheating at cards prequel bit of it. Now, of course, it's linked to the main plot. But effectively, I thought this just seems really disjointed, and it feels really late to be getting to the main plot. Now, I suppose when you look at the film of Casino Royale, when does he get to the casino and all the rest of it? Sometimes these things are delayed. But I just thought this doesn't look right. And when I looked it up, it's like he'd written this story and it just wasn't long enough. So he wrote the card game stuff to go on the front of it. So that's why it's a bit disjointed, but he's managed to marry up the two halves fairly well. If I had to I need to, when I first read it, it I do remember what I thought, but until perhaps the prequel, Forever in a Day, wasn't it? That was the prequel novel, which felt very procedural, and because he was being appointed a double O, you got a real sense of what it must have been like in that era had this guy existed to be catapulted into this world. And I remember thinking when I read Moonraker the first time, even more the Casino Royale, it made you feel like you were on a journey with him and you felt what each bit of his life was like.
Hmm.
It described the downtime between missions and him thinking ahead to how many more missions are left, one of his fellow double agents getting injured, and all the double agents, double O's getting injured, and everything else. I thought it was really good for making you feel it. If I had one complaint with the first half, and we'll describe what this half is in a minute, and then Chris can tell us what he thinks of all this. Is the first half is to do with um, Drax cheating at bridge. Now, if you go back and read Casino Royale, now it's a relatively simple game anyway. But Baccarat, Chemin de Fer, there's slight differences between the two, but they're very linked in very similar games. Fleming taught you very quickly how that was played. Maybe I was rushing this, but I came out of this not knowing how bridge worked at all. And on one page, he actually sort of shows you the run of hands and the run of cards. I didn't get that at all. So it's a bit like if you watched Casino Royale and had the film and had no understanding of poker at all, you'd just be getting something out of it by watching their eyes and the camera work and things like that. And I felt like that with this. But Chris, what did you make of this? It was your first read.
Yeah, so it's the first time I've read it. I've also listened to the audiobook as well. Which is
Bill
done by
Nye.
Bill Nye. Well, the one
Mhm.
I did. I mean, there are other versions out there.
I think they've done a
Um,
new one now, but I was listening to the Bill Nye
yeah,
version today, which is in the
and
last 10 years, yeah.
and it's one of my realizations. I thought, you know what, Bill Nye as that would work. That would work. That would work. Yeah,
He
he
just
does.
sounds so relaxed the whole time, though. He'd be like, "Go on the mission if you want, dear boy, you know, I don't mind otherwise.
Yeah,
We'll just go and have a cocktail."
yeah, I can kind of see it in a way. But yeah, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, so
It's Oliver Seebeck now,
I
does the
think
voice on the
so.
newest version.
So what I really like about the beginning part is it's the first time from the three books that we really go get to sort of see like the office, what we proper get that build up a relationship with M. It's
Yeah,
the first time we see Bond and M actually spend proper time together. It's not just like flashback to when he was getting his orders or or receiving a message from M, from a different country and that. It's
yeah.
like this is like proper like as we would get from the films. He's in M's office having a chat, and it's I like how it sort of just progresses. It starts off like or what Bond's office is like, who people he interacts with, but
Yeah.
it isn't just it doesn't start off on a mission. As we've already said, it's like about cheating at bridge. It's just like it's like M's just like I'm not sure about this Drax guy.
Can you come and
Uh,
do me a favor because you're
yeah,
brilliant at cards? Yeah,
yeah, and I like that. It sort of it tells you the relationship between Bond and M, and it kind of and it also sort of adds to the character of Emma's by not being as as not being like, suffer any fools, but also willing to sort of take chances. He's not like the sort of Our Majesty's government orders are this, so this is what we will do. It's like he's kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure
how
about
could?
it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we'd even work it out. What do you know? So he trusts his
Yeah,
agent's ability, but also the element of trust of. Um, he doesn't literally say this, of course, but Bond says, right, I'm going to get slightly pissed. Don't shit yourself when I start making big bids and stuff like that.
yeah.
In other words, I know what I'm doing. And M is as good as his word. He doesn't show any panic as the evening goes on, and he
I,
stays out of it when he's told to.
I do like the detail of like Bond saying, yeah, I'm gonna get a bit sloshed, so don't
Tight, I
worry.
think he called it, but yeah,
Because
yeah.
because yeah, because it'll like it'll give it away or make my play more realistic. Do you know what I mean? Which is like I love that detail. You know what I mean? It's just like and then sort of so that yeah, you sort of acknowledges how Bond is capable of doing that. Of like yeah, he'd still have his wits while being a bit sloshed.
So the background to this is, he's he is Gustav Graves is a little bit based on him from the red hair, but also
Mhm.
the not long ago turned up. Obviously, it's not 14 months like in that ridiculous plot, but he was found towards the end of the war, very damaged with amnesia in a British uniform.
Mm.
So there's similarities there again. It's not rushed through in the same way, but there is the alter ego and everything else. And he manages to corner the market.
He's very well known, respected. He's a sir now. He's
Yeah,
like
he's
running
He's
been
his.
a
knighted
respected British businessman,
Mm.
as Gustav Grave was after 14 months, because that's how it
to
works.
be fair, I think that's probably one of the better points of Die Another Day. Like there is a kind of the subtle Moonraker influence, that sort of thing. It's probably one of the higher points about Die Another Day,
Yeah,
really.
but if you'd arrived in the country, set up a business, done all this within 14 months, that's quick for a knighthood.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. This was the 50s after all. There's probably less red tape to go through back then.
That's not the thing that would have proper pissed off Bond fans though as well. It's the fact that we're going to make Rosamund Pike Gala Brand, and then still
Mm.
have her turn into be like one of the bad guys. That would
Yeah.
have
That would
pissed
have been
off like
shocking,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, that, I think
If
that
Gala
yeah.
Brand had turned out to be a
So
villain.
so the background to Jack Drax, we're told all this. In fact, it's one of these things that would work in well in a film as well, in that
Yeah.
you get M sometimes say to one of the Bonds, what do you know about X?
What do you
And
know
of
about
course,
Drax 007?
if it's Roger Moore, they know absolutely everything. This Bond doesn't know absolutely everything, but he knows most. So he was found
Those are the basics.
badly injured in an explosion planted by a German saboteur at British in some sort of field place. He
Mm.
extensive rehabilitation, and he becomes a leading industrialist. No,
Leading
I left out the word
industrialist.
French. Yeah,
I also like the detail of like Fleming just sort of says Bond sort of looks out the windows, pauses for a bit because he knows M does not like stuttering or so he thinks about what he's going to say and then will say
yeah,
it like
yeah,
uninterrupted.
Yeah, you
yeah.
could
He
say
just
he's kind of
wants,
the cogs are turning.
and I can't remember the name of the. But again, a bit like the conflict diamonds, he comes across this element that he's cornered basically.
Mm.
And he's now building the Moonraker somewhere in Kent near Dover, and it's going to be Britain's first nuclear missile to defend against Cold War enemies. That's what effectively gets him knighted. And of course, he's, deeply benevolent, deeply. But before we
He's
get
secretly a
to all
Nazi.
of that, before we get to all of that, oh, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
People have only had 71 years to read this.
Spoiler alert
Um,
for
But the
yeah,
point
70-odd-year-old
is,
novel.
M is a member at Blades, which is very well described. How you get membership, how you pay for it, who's there, that sort of thing. And he suspects, or it's been suspected, somebody said to him that Drax is cheating, and it just doesn't sound right. A multimillionaire and what's described as a national hero. Why would he cheat? It could only damage the club and himself. So M says, "Come along tonight. Spend what you need, and we'll see if we can pick him out." And Bond watches for a bit and says, "Yes, he's cheating," and basically works out that he's using a very highly shined cigarette case. Plus, he's got spare sets of cards and things like that going on.
Yeah, he uses lots of tricks in that as well, doesn't he? And he's obviously got his cronies as well.
I
But
mean
yeah,
that
he's
that
just
is that is half the book. Bridge is apparently a partnership game. The guy with him is, doesn't seem to know what's going on, but he's accepted to be collateral damage because they've cheated so much money out of so many people. And that is it. He actually works out that it's been stacked. He's threatened by Drax as he leaves after he gets like 15 grand out of him. Spend it quickly, but
so
that's the
yeah.
last
So
you get.
it's the octopussy as well. It's like spend the money quickly, Mr. Bond.
Yeah. So, immediately goes and gets an expensive whore, and that's credits. Um, but yeah, so we've got this background on him. And then is it literally the next day where he's a little bit hungover and there's been a murder at Drax's site overnight or near Drax's site?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was basically I think it was a special branch person who was there to sort of oversee the safety of all of this and the security.
Bond
And
is sent in as a replacement.
one of the one of the other members of the site walked in, a German guy, into a pub and said, stay away from Gala Brand, she's mine, or whatever he said, and shot him. Um, and this guy that's been shot is like a lot older than her, married with 4 kids, and no background of infidelity or anything like that. He took her to the cinema once in about 18 months in a paternal way. And as we get to know the characters, there clearly was no affair there.
No,
We don't know why that is. It seems a coincidence because it's happening why the whole Blades thing is happening. And
I think so.
Bond is
Or
asked to
maybe
go
a bit
in.
of a red herring, perhaps.
Well, yeah, but I can't remember why they choose not to send another special branch person in or an MI5, but they reason at least that I think because it's to defend against international threats, they send in Bond anyway.
But for plot reasons, they send in Bond.
Well, it is explained in the book, but I can't really remember, to be honest with you. But he goes in, and of course, Drax is all lovely there. Gala Brand is there. We're told quite early on she is a bit like a Vesper. She's actually Special Brand. She's undercover in Special Branch, although I think using her real name.
I think it's quite
Yeah,
interesting how like she's very like she's given presented by Fleming to be um Miranda Frost to be quite sort of frosty. Like she doesn't immediately kind of warm up to Bond. You know, she's a policewoman in many ways.
I think a lot of it
And
is that, but it's also the fact that she's been around a lot of men who crack onto her. That's made quite
yeah,
clear.
her guard's up
And
quite a lot of times. So it's quite similar to
she's
Bond
developed a
in that
way of
regard.
like, although Bond would have had them all if they'd been the opposite sex, but yeah, all right.
Definitely.
But she didn't. And he's effectively your assistant. And one of the earliest plot points that I'd completely forgotten but makes total sense is she's very well trusted, and she sort of does the sort of daily. What are they called? Where it's to do with the coordinates of the eventual test flight.
Yeah, there's sort of figures, doesn't she? So
It's to do with weather
she
or
does all like
something, I
weather
think.
reports and things like that,
Yeah. So,
telemetry and stuff like that.
yeah. So that becomes relevant later on.
What the coordinates you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
coordinates,
coordinates
but they
and
aren't
weather
referred
reports
to
and
as
things like
that.
that. So
Um, it's not vectors either. I forget what it is. Doesn't matter anyway. Where do we
something
go
like
from
that.
here then? So Bond is now on site, in the guy who's been murdered's room.
Yeah, he goes to where he was shot, doesn't he?
Yes,
It was a pub, wasn't it, or something,
it was a
something like
pub.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he mentioned the guy's. Is it the guy who shot him? Say
yeah. I've
Hale.
forgotten his name now, but it was a German-ish name. I seem
Yeah,
to recall. Yeah. Um, it's so strange. He's, as I say, he's just gone in, shouted something at him about Gala, and shot him. And of course, we later find out that's entirely sort of fabricated, the whole reason behind it. Um, what's the next thing we find out? So yeah, Bond sort of goes and does all that. I think he sort of checks out. Um,
he questions why they all have mustaches.
yeah, they're all bald or at least cropped short with mustaches that are all different from each other. So some will be bushy, some will be handlebar, some will be like, well, they literally say Hitler.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the way they supposedly tell them apart because, so many names to learn and all the rest of it. We later find out the reason for that. And it is sort of that, but sort of not. Um, and what does he have in the room? He goes through, he finds like a filing cabinet with everything in it, and he finds Krebs, one of his assistants' fingerprints overlaying the previous guy.
Yeah,
So
so it's
there's
a map, isn't it?
already,
There's a map that he finds,
yeah,
and it's actually it's ripe with fingerprints and that sort of thing.
yeah.
What do we think to Krebs as a henchman? I think he's really creepy. He's obviously sort of channeling some sort of
Well,
oh god,
described as Peter Lorre, isn't it? Like a
Peter
young
Lorre.
Peter.
Yeah, very much Peter Lorre, that kind of vibe.
And I must say, that's almost how Bill Nye voiced him.
Yeah, I was going to say, does he sound a little bit like that? So 'cause it's weird, like, and apparently he describes like all his henchmen as having like they've shaved their heads or they have particular hairstyles and they all wear
Yeah.
mustaches, something like that. Very strange.
It's a little bit like the what's his name on Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Gestapo.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, yeah, he's yeah.
Ronald, whatever he was called,
Yeah.
the real man. I nearly said Ronald Koeman, but he was a Dutch footballer. It's not him. The baby eating Bishop of Bath and Wells, yes.
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 Yes. Very like that. And he's voiced a little bit like that as well. But
Yeah.
obviously there's no voices in the book. You pick up what you want. But there's something a little bit whiny and obsequious about him as well. Um,
Sniveling.
and he's frequently
Yeah,
drunk
he's a
as
little bit
well.
like that, isn't he?
And a lot of that's based on it. But all of the locals, everyone Bond asks says how um, Drax is very exacting, but they all work really hard. They're all obsessed with this project, and it sort of gets a clean bill of health from everyone that's sort of around it.
So, can I just ask, what does everyone? I mean, I know we probably discussed it in some way, but what's everyone's thoughts on Drax as a villain? Is he one of the favorites? Is he one of the best of the Bond
I need
film?
I need to
No.
I need to read a good few more because I can't remember what Blofeld's like in the
Mm.
books. But yes, yes he is. Yes he is, and I think I think Becca's already sort of said it. He's kind of he's the archetype for the movie villain.
Yeah, I would kind of say
The
he's like,
movie
well, for
villains
me anyway, he's
plural.
kind of like the quintessential like
Yeah,
Fleming villain because yeah, he claims to be somebody he's not. He's a
physically
um,
damaged.
leading French industrialist.
Yeah,
Is a leading English British industrialist. I mean, yeah, in terms of like Fleming villains, obviously they claim to be English, but they're foreign. Apologies for any uncolourful language. I do apologise.
mm,
They've always got some physical disability, disfigurement,
yeah,
um, which is ridiculous. Um, and yeah, they're kind of maybe as a sort of sciencey angle as well. Obviously, they claim to be sort of like benevolent, can't even speak, benevolent, and they do well to kind of better society. But actually, they kind of got these like ulterior motives, that sort of thing. There's usually like a beautiful woman, henchwoman, that sort of thing, and very strange henchmen, hench people
yeah.
as well. But yeah, there's kind of like there's a main sort of tropes really, and also like they're maybe like often, especially in the films as well, like sort of like darker versions of Bond or more like shadowy versions of Bond. We see this
Well,
in like
this guy, as we'll get to, has a sort of a glittering military career, albeit on the other
yeah, that's it.
side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's sort of decorate military. He's sort of decorated as well. So yeah, they've got
yeah,
the kind of the militaristic background as well. They're
yeah,
hugely successful, or they're philanthropists, for example, as well, or like charity beneficiaries. There's this
yeah,
kind of there's a positive side to them, but actually, when you look at it, it's all like funded through money laundering
yeah. They all
or
start off
smuggling
North
or
Korea,
something like that,
and they
something
all start off
nefarious.
North Korean and get knighted in 14 months. So yeah,
This is
like I
it.
say,
This is it. They're ex-Nazis, and but they're Sir, that sort of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, so I would probably say like this is like quintessential
Mm,
Fleming villain because he ticks all the boxes. Like not only well, he's ginger, he's ginger.
yeah,
But yeah, he's obviously got a hideously scarred face. Like he claims
Mm.
to be English, but actually he's like ex-Nazi now, working for the Soviets, working for the
yeah,
Russians. But yeah,
yeah.
so I think he's like archetypal Fleming villain, really.
It,
Um,
it's what I find striking about him is that he's very always like conflicting traits because Fleming describes him in such a repulsive way. Like it's like with his teeth, his scars, his hair, he's the fact that he's just very big and broad and
yeah, he's not the most handsome of people.
and just on one hand very abrupt, petulant, like kind of really just like God, what an absolute like brute, or just absolute just dislikable in every way possible. But on the other hand, he is this well thought of, respected, charismatic,
And can be
Mm,
well
charming. Yes.
that's
dressed,
true. Yeah, there's a big dichotomy there. There's a big split.
and it's just such a like because even like Bond himself after like the bridge when he's like completely, oh, this guy's an absolute prick. Yes, let's take him down. And then when he goes to meet him, it's like he's very charming,
He's very charming. He's very
and
likable.
Bond
He's very
starts to sort
affable.
of feel like, oh, well, this guy's actually all right. Maybe I
Yeah, he just made a mistake. He got carried, and he admitted it as well. He went, "Oh,
yeah.
I got carried away. How did you know?" Yeah,
That's
Mm.
it. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's one of the kind of I find myself like even though yeah he's brutish. He doesn't suffer fools gladly. He's not perhaps pleasant to look at.
Oh, and his
He's
teeth as well. Yeah.
yeah, he's generally kind of nasty piece of work. But at the same time, I was kind of like, well, actually, he does have some likable qualities, and you're kind of enamored to him a little bit. I mean, same with Bond as well. I mean, Fleming didn't write Bond to be likable, and he can be a nasty bastard, excuse my language. But at the same time, you have to side with him a little bit. And I found myself like, um, there's maybe some appealing aspects to Drax a little bit when he is, all intents and purposes, like the main villain. So yeah, excuse me, but yeah, I think that's a very valid point, Chris. Despite he's all his faults, but he's also very charming, and you're drawn to him in many
It.
ways.
I just find it striking. It's just like really sort of like obviously there's a lot of that is put on, but
Oh,
it's
of
just
course, yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just
It's all
like
one big
but it's
facade,
just
isn't it?
like he builds a picture of just such a grotesque person,
Yeah, he
but
is grotesque. That's
at the
right.
same time he does have this charisma like which which people find like, oh, he's well thought of
Yeah,
and all
they
this
are
and
drawn to it.
yeah,
But that's a bit of complexity, which is nice.
yeah.
But also, he is. I mean, he's yeah. I mean, he's just at one point not even a rounded person because you know nothing about any sort of romantic aspect to him or anything like that.
Maybe there
But
isn't one. Yeah, Fleming doesn't
but
really go into
they
that too
have
much, does he? It's a bit of a
yeah they
mystery.
have gone with sort of if he was taken at face value and if his cover story had been
If he
the
said that he
true
was married
story,
to Gala Brand.
then when you're talking about like there's some good aspects to him. Well, on the face of it, he's taken great wealth and ploughed it into like the defense of the country he loves at a very dangerous time for Europe. So he would be a hero,
Mm.
and it reminds me a little bit of First Contact, where like it's a weapon, but it's a weapon to usher in an era of peace because we finally got like a deterrent.
Yeah.
So it's got its positives to it. Of course, once Bond has sort of, even when Bond realizes Krebs has been all over his room and something weird has happened with the guy he's replaced, who was actually Ministry of Supply, not Special Branch, but he still thinks it doesn't even occur to him Drax has anything to do with this. I think the first clue
It's
is
still
the
question mark, isn't it? 'Cause it's like, well, hang on, well, is he taking orders or who is
yeah.
he taking orders from? Is it like
Yeah,
is it
and everyone around him's giving him a clean bill of health, and this thing a clean bill of health.
mm,
And it doesn't look like he was having an affair with she was having an affair with this guy, or they were sleeping together, but you never know. So I think the first clue is actually the murder attempt. Of course, they go looking around the place and they go for a
mm,
swim, don't they? In
yeah.
which Bond goes, "I'll have a bit of that."
At
Tries
least
to
he doesn't go,
kiss
you
her,
swim like a
but they
man.
get up on the sort of on the rocks under the sort of white cliffs, if you like, and then there's like a big explosion, and they just about avoid getting completely buried in rock, don't they?
Mm.
Just
While
about
they're sort of
nearly, yeah.
drying off, waiting to go back.
Yeah, this is one of the first parts of the story where Bond just seems to get absolutely battered. like
Yeah, he really
ugh.
Yeah.
does, doesn't he? He just really gets the shit kicked out of him.
Like
Well,
it's like
I don't need to see him like beaten to shit, but we said this about the films that
mm,
you got to, I don't know. Well, the world is not enough, and his shoulder was bad, and that was like quite revolutionary at the time. He might take the odd punch where you see a tiny bit of blood or something, but there would be almost nothing and no after effects. And whether the Craig era did it right, overdid it, underdid it, whatever you might think, like he needs to have his hair out of place occasionally. He needs to be
mm,
hurt occasionally. And this film really lays it on him, doesn't he? He doesn't get
He does
tortured in
get
the
battered
same
and
way, but he
bruised quite
just
a bit,
gets
doesn't he?
very,
Yeah.
very beaten up. Yeah. But they nearly killed him. Bond realizes that
I think it
if you
probably is certainly like the Craig era for sure. Maybe two of Tim's films. And then I don't know. I think sort of Roger Moore is kind of the era of the films where like Bond is least battered and bruised. I mean, you see him roughed up a little bit,
yeah,
but like Connery gets
it
it
was the
shit taken
same.
out of him a couple of times. And but yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's not certain in this book as well. Yeah, Chris, I guess yeah, it's another valid point. It's kind of it roughs him up quite a little bit, and he's not the hero, not the Superman, as it were.
Well, I'll tell
Um,
you the bit I love about this attempted assassination sort of section. So they trigger a landslide. Bond actually realizes he sort of saw the flash, and he said, "If you went up there, you'd find three. If you went through all that, you'd find three holes." And because I saw the dynamite, I'm sure I did. And he just said, "I heard the explosion." He said, "I'm pretty sure." He knows that it's sabotage. Whether it's to kill them, he's not 100% sure. But then when they go back to Drax's place. Drax is all, oh my
it's
God, I
literally
hope glad you.
you actually hear like the something drop, don't they? Like or like
No,
freeze,
but I
don't
tell
they?
you what, it's the line I like is where Bond walks away from having seen him and that they're happy he's all right. Krebs is pissed. And as they walk away, Bond realizes that there were only places for three people. In other words, they weren't expecting them back.
Mm.
So that is Bond finally clued in that they weren't expecting us back. What do they not want us to find? And he sort of says that our job is, he says to like Vesper, our job is to stay alive now. And in fact, they first off went to they went somewhere else to
You
like
mean
eat and
Gala?
clean
I think you
themselves.
Carla,
said
not
best.
Vesper.
Oh, sorry, yeah, force of habit. Yeah. So I
You
don't
ever
know
had a book
quite
in
what
between, you know?
I can't remember which way round it is because Bond. I don't know if Bond realizes then or before because there's a point where he says to Gala, "Our job is just to stay alive." Because
Mm,
they want us not seeing something and we're not sure what it is. And actually, it's been seeded right at the start because when Gala provides all her figures to give the trajectory on that day with the weather to land it somewhere in the North Sea, um, Drax would sit down and do them again, his own figures. And it
Hmm.
turns out that like he's doing them relative to that to aim it at London, which we didn't know at the time, but it's seeded expertly about halfway through the book.
Yeah,
mm,
it's kind of like plotted quite well, isn't it? He'll kind of show these seeds as like, oh, yeah, why are these figures being different? But obviously, we're seeing it from Gala's point of view, and she
Yeah,
doesn't know why. It's like, did he distrust me? Am I doing it wrong? Something like that.
yeah. And,
But we
and
don't
and
know. We don't
again,
know, obviously, because
but
he's
because
charting a
he's
different course.
no, but he's given this image of everyone led by him as incredibly diligent, hardworking, and double checking everything. So it just take and he's continually telling her, "No, your figures were perfect." You know, it you would buy it if you didn't know it was obviously a
It's
Bond
gaslighting of
book.
the
And
highest order, really.
yeah, but you would in reality, if this was a real thing, you there would be at least a defense for him going, well, he's just thorough. He's just checking. He's just checking every day. And every day you're correct, so no problem. But yeah, so what's the next bit? They go to London next?
yeah. So the Bond goes to London, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he's due to meet Gala there at some point.
Yeah. So they're gonna have a bit of a rendezvous, but Gala gets a lift with Drax
Yeah.
because she tries to have a look at
Notebook,
his notebook. Yeah.
which has all these coordinates in them.
Mm, and she gets caught essentially, like sort of sneaking. Like she has a lot. She managed to get away with the book. Looks at it, then she's like powdering her nose,
Yeah.
and then she realizes that the complete different coordinate, like these are completely
Yeah.
different coordinates than what the ones that we were doing.
And she can
So,
work out roughly. It's always very rough, isn't it? In the
mm,
way it's described, it's like, hang on, 90 degrees from that would put it presumably, literally the word presumably is used in England. And then she sort of works out
she would
that
have
would
to
be the
sit.
centre
She
of
have to
London.
sit. She'd have to sit at the desk and with all the relevant papers to actually be
Yeah,
actually correct. But she's
yeah,
going off ahead. But she'd be like, hang on. So if I was doing that, that's gonna be oh shit. That's gonna be in England. So, um,
yeah,
London area. So, yeah. So she's caught, and she kind of figures like shit. Moonraker's
yeah.
gonna go to London.
And who is it? Bond then sees her boss at Special Branch because he's
Mm.
going around London. And she's like, they're like, we haven't seen her. Valance, I think he's called. It's like, we haven't seen her. And it's like, then he starts worrying because he's like, okay, what has happened to her? Um, and I can't remember how he catches up with them. 'Cause he ends up
Uh,
chasing them, doesn't he?
Yeah, and this is like another chase. Like I just got flashbacks to Casino Royale because I just thought, oh, this is another
There was
chase scene with
similar,
it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she's being sort of held down and everything else. Obviously, in
mm.
Casino Royale, her skirt was like put over her head, wasn't it? But yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think so. He chases Drax. He's assuming right. I think Gala's wrapped up, but he doesn't know, and he doesn't even
yeah. I
he is
know. There's still a moment's doubt, which Drax actually ruins, doesn't he?
but he doesn't actually at this point know for certain. He probably knows Drax is a wrong one, but he's got no evidence. He's got nothing to sort of go off. He's just like, all right, well, I've got to play it cool. So he's just kind of following at this point.
And
And
then a boy racer turns up in an Alpha, which gets described. He loves describing
mm,
his cars in this, and of course, it's the really old-fashioned cars where they're above the cockpit with goggles on. Yeah, or it's certainly Bond is anyway in his Bentley. And an Alpha appears with like a young man of probably under 30 in it, I think he says. And of course, he's just trying to like race everybody. I think he postulates he might be something military and needs to be back
mm.
at base as well. but he races Bond and then he gives chase to Drax, doesn't he? And he does this thing of like switching his lights on at the last minute to get a bit Death Proof style
Mm.
to like spook them and show he's there. And of course, Drax effectively knocks him off the road and he does like a double, like the car rolls over twice and catches fire, which is where Krebs sounds most like the Peter Lorre in the audiobook. He plays that as like Krebs finds that hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, oh yes, Mein Führer, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't
yeah.
say Mein Führer, but yeah. Um,
And of course they then try to take out Bond, and Bond knows they're serious now. At that point, he's like, "Well, that's murder or attempted murder," because he doesn't know if the guy's dead,
yeah.
and it's literally he says that it's murder or at least attempted murder. Um, I can't
So
remember how they take
I
Bond out now.
yeah, I have to go after. So I think Krebs goes out. He managed to,
Oh, it's
um,
something to do with the truck with paper rolls on it or something.
yeah. So they capture Bond and flog him
Bond's
in.
knocked off the road, and that car is written off. He'll have a
Mm.
different Bentley next time. Yeah,
And he gets stuffed into the boot with Gala Brand, and where they plan to basically leave him just like the film Moonraker in a sense, as a bit leave him, like basically where the rocket blasts,
yeah,
basically where they'll be incinerated.
yeah. And
Um,
this is now, of course, Bond now gets the full story from Drax. Now, in the films, I mean, it's the very thing Austin Powers lampooned. I'll take, it's 5 minutes to tell me him his story in, excruciating detail and all the rest of it, and then leave him presumably to die. Um, but I just think he was so carried away with what he's about to pull off here after his beloved country was, in his mind, humiliated.
mm,
That like everything he wins, and that is a bit like Gustav Graves, that like the moment he's knighted, he's like, this fucking country I hate, and look what they're doing for me. Look. And he gives his full backstory. Von der Drasch, which is very similar, and he was part of a commando unit,
On
and
the
he was
Draka.
disguised. Yeah, and he was
The dragon. It's meant to
disguised
be the dragon, I think, isn't it?
a werewolf commando unit,
Oh,
it's
yeah, that's
called.
the one.
But it's spelled Werwolf. It's a Nazi plan, yeah. So it's to go behind enemy lines. That's a specific unit. He was a saboteur. He was meant to uh, place a bomb, but then he got injured in the detonation himself.
No, I mean Drax's name.
Oh, Hugo von der Drache.
For the Draka. Yeah, so
Graf.
it's Drak, yeah, of
Oh,
the
is it
dragon.
Draco? Is it? I don't speak German, to be fair. I had a bit of a guess at the pronunciation
With,
of
with my
that.
with my A level with my A level
No, no, you'll
German.
be you'll be you'll be right then. Draco. Okay. Um, So yeah, of course he gets injured, and his amnesia story had just been a cover. Um, and then of course they're trying to sort of suggest things. Could you be this person? And they come out with the perfect person, and he's like, "Well, yeah, that's me. Similar name, even same shoe size." And I think that guy either had money or some aspect to money because he sort of made a lot of money. Oh, and the other thing they found out around this time is in the present day of the book story is Drax's company is like betting against the pound because he knows there's going to be a disaster, which is a
mm.
giveaway. Um,
That's fake. That film of Casino Royale, isn't it? Betting against the.
yeah, betting to short it exactly what that plane explosion would have been in that film.
Mm,
Um, So yeah, the whole point is they're imprisoned to the engine. He's like he also tells him he's been in Moscow and they've been sort of helping to fund him. He can get anything he wants because he's got access to this rare material which is called columbite, which is again the sort of conflict diamonds of this story, I suppose. And it's something to do with containing the heat of the rocket when it's solved, and they've given him the nuclear warhead to sneak into it. So because it was meant to be just a dummy, it was meant to be a try. They were going to launch it into the North Sea somewhere, go, that works, and then build another one or build the real
mm.
one. And of course, this is now real and being aimed at London. And Bond is effectively giving up. Not giving up, but he's saying, we got to sacrifice ourselves.
So yeah, so Drax brings in a blowtorch, doesn't he, as a threat to torture? I believe. Now, now Bond uses essentially taunts him. But he sort of says like mentioned thing about the teeth of how like oh you sucked at that and he basically sort of pisses him off. So he picks him up in a chair and throws him. Um, and which making him forget about the blowtorch, which is kind of which I kind of like as a little sort of smart. He's like he wanted to like sort of piss him off, make him like
Yeah.
forget, make him like
The
not think
blowtorch
about. So yeah, so they managed to free themselves, and
with the
yeah, they
blowtorch.
can
But wasn't the plan still to sort of just make it explode there and they'll be killed? But
yes. So Bond initially is like right, you, I can try and keep you safe by locking you in this shower, and then I'll just light up a cigarette and then poof, and then that's their plan scuppered. Um, and Gala's like, no, if you do that, I'd just rather do it together.
yeah. And then she
Uh,
basically says to him, you're just, you're assuming I've got nothing to bring to this, that I don't
mm.
have ideas, and you're just saying what it should be. And I don't know if she does have an idea immediately, but it does come to her very quickly.
Yeah,
Well, hang on a minute.
Bond mentions something. She goes, oh yeah, of course
The vectors or whatever
yeah.
the word she uses for it. Yeah.
She goes, actually no, I can reprogram it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we'll just basically put back in one of mine, adjust it for like adjust whatever the system says to think it's the same weather, and it will just burn up in the North Sea.
like it's supposed to.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Drax goes and makes a speech in front of the BBC.
yeah,
Which is kind of odd because it's like, oh, you forget, oh yeah, the BBC was around at that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
time. And yeah, it gets very sort of passionate.
I did it up. She sets the gyros. There we go.
Gyros, that's the word I've been looking
Yeah,
for all the way through this. I'll have to go back and edit it in. So, all the way
Sorry,
through, I'll be going, so the gyros,
gyros.
gyros. Yeah, okay.
um, yeah, he gives a speech which faints on the kind of like, uh, he seems a bit suspicious. He talks about like paved like this is of like of weapon and be like your lives will be forever changed.
And he mentions fatherland at one point.
And you mentioned that with blood as well, which is like that sounds a bit more sinister than I don't know. But of course, like the BBC of like commentary goes like, "Well, what a wonderful speech there by
Wonderful speech there from, and
Hugo
we're
Drax."
fatherland now, not motherland. All right, fair enough. Yeah, yeah, all right.
Yeah, and he goes off into a submarine
Yeah,
as you do.
yeah,
I you go off on the submarine in the North Sea where you are supposedly about to launch your nuclear warhead as a test run.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
that's what
but,
he does.
but then I'm saying North Sea. It's more probably in the Wash somewhere. But yeah,
Mm,
basically, it's been rerouted to where he's escaping.
mm,
So they're killed by that now, and that's the end of him. He's basically murdered escaping.
yes. As well as a poor ship as well.
Yeah, yeah,
With a BBC journalist on. Um,
yeah. Just about to file copy about some guy calling us the fatherland, and it doesn't matter, he's dead. Yeah. Yeah, the next bit made me smile because Bond's doing his typical end of mission. Oh, I get 2 weeks of shacking now, right?
and he gets
He's told
cockblocked.
to disappear. He's told to disappear. He said you're still going to be remembered. People who saw you on the site, etc., etc. Go away for, I think he says, a month. Um, later tells his secretary Lelia Ponsonby he's going to the south of France, and he's assuming Gala's going to go with him, and he's going to have a lot of fun. But turns out she's engaged,
Mhm.
which you can't have in a film, could you? I'm
Yeah, bit
engaged.
of a shocker ending
Credits.
that one, really, isn't it? Yeah, because you fully expected, Bond and Gala are going to go off into the sunset, but
Yeah,
actually
and she
no.
was a bit, she was disgusted by his kiss, but turned on by it at the same time in that like typical, special service type
She put on a front, being like, "Oh,"
trying it
but actually
on.
she was like, "Oh."
Well, I mean, the thing is, yeah,
She was like the
run
arrogance
over.
of it, but I found that, yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I just wonder if she's engaged to Jonathan Pye, so she could be Gala Pye.
That would be funny. Gala Apple,
Yeah.
right, Mr. Apple. What else? Gala Prize? I don't know. Is it
Trouble
Gala or
is, whenever
Gala?
I hear Gala now, it's Gala Brand because she's
It's
so well
Gala
known for
Brand,
the,
yeah.
even though I've called it Vespa more than once tonight. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I think to be fair, I mean, I think yeah, Vesca will forever be like the archetypal sort of Bond girl, as it were. If you sorry to use an outdated phrase, but yeah, typical Fleming Bond lady, Bond woman. Um, I think yeah, I think Bond ladies as a kind of whole, as a genre, as it were,
mm,
they're a bit they tend to fall into like the Goodnight or the Stacey, um,
mm.
certainly in the films as well. But I think Gala Brand, she puts up a good fight. She's very much like her own woman. She's there. She's equal fitting as Bond. She's also there
She
as
never,
an
she never
agent
really
undercover.
kisses Bond. She is kissed by Bond. There's
Yeah,
a
she
difference.
doesn't really go
And
exactly. This is it.
apparently,
She
when they're
doesn't. She
laying,
tries to put up a good fight.
and
Um,
when they're lying, drying off, um, they talk about keeping a respectful distance and all that. They're not lying together, and then when they're damaged and their clothes are destroyed, and they're arguably either naked or very close to naked, nothing's made of it. It's just like they've just nearly lost their
it's just
lives.
happened
That's
like
not
that.
important.
That was
Yeah,
circumstantial. But yeah, it's
yeah.
not like she actively pursues him or he actively pursues her.
Mm.
As you say, like
I
he
don't
does
know,
the kissing.
I think there is a bit of flirting going on between them, though.
Mm.
I think when
I
they
think
were,
there is a little bit, to try and break the ice, that sort of
I
thing.
think when they go swimming, there's a little bit of like, there's a little bit of coyness, like a bit of like, oh, I'm not interested, really.
I think there's a
Are,
degree of
are
she
you?
thinks she shouldn't be there. She's like, well, what were we doing out here anyway? And also, this isn't appropriate. There's a bit of like she just goes along with it, but she isn't really sure.
Yeah, but maybe it's just how it read.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I kind of felt like there was like because even in the last scene together, there is a sort of sense of she if she wasn't engaged, she might have been like gone with Bond. It's like gone, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like she might have
She's
like
like, yeah, I did actually quite like you, but not no,
But I'm actually
you know.
married.
And not only that, there is a degree of when he does kiss her, she's a bit like, I can't remember the exact words, but it's something like, typical, Secret Service coming in and behaving like that. It's all about sex and all the rest of it. And I think she knows that if she did anything with him, it would just be a couple of weeks of fun.
yeah.
And she's a bit too sensible for that.
But I get like I say romance in inverted comments is very like brought upon by the nature of their predicament, as in like they've they've nearly died together like at least two or three times, so they are kind of like in a way kind of like they're brought together by a not a traumatic well a traumatic event which kind of like they're bound by a little bit, so they just kind of they bond in that way. So there's a
Yeah, they've
bit of
both been
that.
through that trauma, haven't they? So
So yeah, I think that's what that is most of the time. I'm Bond. To be fair to Bond, he is mostly mature when he's like, oh well, fair enough. That's you know, you win some, you lose some, I guess. You know,
Yeah. And actually, when he kisses her, the thing with some of the Bonds is, and again, you've got to see them as products of their time, so I'm not really complaining, but they're almost like forcing themselves on people. Now, he does in
I
that he
think yeah,
comes
Bond
up,
does that quite a lot.
yeah, but he comes up, kisses her, and then just immediately swims off. It's almost like I'll just give her something to think about. He doesn't push, does he, after that?
He sort of presses himself against the ladies, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what came over me." Oh,
well, yeah, I suppose it's like Bond just like, sort of telling, look, I'm interested. Let us know. Yeah, that's
So that's Moonraker, the third What's next? What's the next one? Diamonds Are Forever's the
Diamonds
next
Are
one,
Forever,
which I
yes.
remember not liking at all. But let's see.
The diamonds, the offer of us. Oh,
Thunderballers forever. I
going
did the
as a
ball, darling. I did the
whole.
ball.
I've got the range. I've got the range.
I got the range, darling. I got the range. Dear, dear. They couldn't make that show now.
Yeah, there'll be some listeners thinking, I've no idea what the fuck they're on about.
What are they referencing now? Was it
I
Profiles in Rock?
remember,
Something like that.
I remember Diamonds Are Forever being quite hard-edged and quite brutal in places, and not warming to it at all. But like I say, I probably read it 8 to 10 years ago, so we'll see when we get to that. Um, cool. Any final thoughts, folks?
Yeah, so I thought it was probably the more cinematic of the book so far. Um,
Yeah.
Probably easiest and most readable, bar from Casino Royale. That this one has your typical very big climax that it builds up to.
Mm.
I did find the end. It's funny, sort of Dave said about like the beginning of the book felt a little bit tagged on, whereas I thought the ending of the
I
book
enjoyed
felt.
it.
Yeah, but I thought the ends of the book just felt a bit too drawn out. Like it was just like, okay, where
Yeah.
we get it. What news happening? You know, there's good like sort of 2 or 3 chapters where I'm like, right, yes, I know, yes, okay,
I thought it was
Get on
done
with it.
nearly
Get on with
half
it.
an hour before it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
ended quite a
it's
few
like
different times.
I get Bond and Gala uncomfortable with the rocket going off. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Drax is on a submarine and there's BBC commentary. Yeah, okay. What what's going to happen now? You know what I mean? Get to it. Um, but apart from that, yeah, I thought it was quite well. It it moved along really well. And yeah, it's just sort of very colourful villains. And Bond is this is the most mature I've seen of Bond as well. He's not as should we say he's not as much of a twat in it.
He's quite reined in, isn't he? In terms of like his libido and stuff like that. He's kind of, yeah, he's not too much of a knob. He's very
I
sort of
just think
focused on the
this is
mission.
much more about how he works. And
Mm.
I
Yeah,
appreciated that.
this is
And I
Bond the spy.
appreciated it in the what was his name? Forever in a Day. I appreciated it in that as well.
Yeah, which I need to
He's
read as
very much
well.
kind of driven by the mission, rather than driven by his knob, driven by that part of his body.
I don't mind him
Um,
being driven by his knob as long as he does a bit of work while he's at it.
this is it,
It,
definitely.
it, it comes to the territory of a Bond film, isn't it? It's like yeah,
It
yeah.
does, it does.
But yeah, there's my Rebecca. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, you raised a good point, David, at the start, about it kind of taking a while to get ready. We do kind of need to get into that game. It's kind of like, yeah, with Casino Royale, like Fleming will teach you how to play baccarat, he'll teach you how to play chemin de fer. But with here, I mean, to be fair, I'm not a big card player myself.
I didn't understand bridge any better, but then I read it and I read it quickly. Maybe
It
it
might
was there.
it might as well be Snap.
This is it. Yeah, I'm not of that world, unfortunately. I've got perhaps a better understanding of it, than what I did prior before reading this novel. But that's about it, really. But yeah, I kind of felt like it did take a while to get going, but we spent a lot of time learning about Drax as a person and how he cheats at cards and that sort of thing, and the mechanics of it. But I think apparently Fleming did a rough draft of a screenplay, but there wasn't enough in it. So the publisher was like, "Oh, God, this is good, but you need to beef it up a little bit more." So that's how we got that backstory. It was almost as if maybe like it was like Jerry Anderson and Lou Grade saying, "This is great, I love it, but I need more." And you end up with what should be a half an hour episode is now an hour full of bloatware. But yeah, once we got into kind of real meat and potatoes of it, yeah, it's great. I mean, the archetypal Bond villain. It's kind of rare in the Fleming canon is that it's spent entirely in the UK. Is quite rare. But again, it's quite nice as well. So I mean, there's much to be said. I know a lot of criticism was that we don't go around various exotic locales, but also at the same time, the Kent coastline is beautiful, and you can kind of these real places that you can visit and get a feel for definitely. Gala Brand, a perfectly memorable Bond lady. She holds her own, as Dave said. She's doesn't actively pursue Bond. She's there very much like, she's got her own mission, she's got her own job to do, puts up a good resistance. It is charmed by Bond, definitely, but and yeah, shock ending, they don't sail off into the sunset together. But yeah, she's a very kind of memorable character, especially for the 50s as well. And Bond kind of thinks he's got her figured out, and actually he hasn't at all. And yeah, I kind of agree with you, Chris, that the ending is drawn out a little bit. Like for me, it ends like 2 or 3 times. But I've said that it's an enjoyable read. Lots of kind of 50s sort of post-war paranoia. That's quite gripping and very much like of its time. So yeah, would recommend.
I will just add, like, from what said about the card playing, you don't really get the explanation about the bridge. I if I could defend Fleming a little bit, or semi-defend it, I maybe probably wasn't going for it at that point. He's probably more interested on the dynamics of Hugo Drax and Bond, probably, rather than
but then he
like
puts the order cards are paid in. It's on the page, and you go, "Oh, I don't know. That doesn't mean anything to me."
I think to be fair, obviously he was obviously writing this for an audience who perhaps did know their way around a bridge game, perhaps. So rather than playing for like the layperson, or he might have had instruction from his publisher saying, "Oh, you just wind it in a bit." So, but I think probably the audience for this perhaps knew what they were doing and perhaps didn't need it to be laid on thick. I don't know.
Possibly.
I mean,
I don't know.
maybe bridge was such a commonly played game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might have been a lot more popular
It
then.
was very popular back then, definitely.
It's like, I
It's
don't
probably
need to
something that
explain
maybe my grandparents played, for example, back in the day.
All right, so thumbs up for this in general, though.
3 thumbs up. But with like
Okay.
Siskel and Ebert and an extra person. 3 thumbs up.
Siskel and Ebert and Poochie.
Okay, who's the other guy? Siskel and it wasn't always Ebert.
Ebert.
Who was the
No,
other guy?
it was Ebert and Roper.
Ebert and
that.
Roper, that's the one. So yeah.
Yeah, because Gene Siskel died in about 99. Yeah. Okay. As for social media, you can find me at the Pasty Kid 1976 on Twitter.
Yeah, you can find me at Cinematronics on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and you can find all the old episodes on Podbean.
You can find us on socials. Just type in "Do you expect us to talk?" wherever you get your podcasts. Wherever you do listen to us, don't forget to give us a glowing 5-star review. Helps us to rank higher in the search engines and attract more listeners. If you back for our movie stage, if there's a series that you want us to cover, you can always drop us an email, expectusttalk@gmail.com.
And that's it, folks. So what we do next?
Oh gosh. Well, Literary Bond will return with our review and Diamonds Are Forever whenever we can get round to it. But currently on our film review slate, we are getting back to Hitchcock. Our next film will be Spellbound.